Hello again, my name's Gabe Zollner. Just read an interesting article that one of my friends out of Chicago sent me. And it's out of the Chicago Tribune. It was dated February the 26th, 2017. Remember Jesse Jackson? You know, he's the son of Reverend Jesse Jackson, the shakedown artist. Well, for those of you that aren't aware of this, Jesse Jackson Jr. went to federal prison. And he was sentenced to a term in prison because of his illegal acts where he took money for his campaign and used it for both himself and for his wife. If you and your wife would have done what they did, and if the two of you were convicted, you both would have gone to prison simultaneously. Because of Jesse Jackson being a high-profile figure, the courts allowed him to serve his time, and then upon his release, she has to go serve her time. Now, what's totally insane is the title of this article. How Jesse Jackson Jr. collects $138,400 a year from the federal government. Records from former U.S. Representative Jesse Jackson Jr.'s divorce case show how he's been able to collect hefty benefit checks from the federal government after serving time in prison for looting hundreds of thousands of dollars from his campaign fund. Now, you ready for this? Jackson, 51, receives about $138,400 a year, more than he made as a freshman congressman in 1995. Most of that, about $100,000, is workers' compensation and tax-free, according to his Chicago attorney, Barry Schatz, who is representing Jackson in his divorce proceedings. The rest of Jackson benefits are Social Security disability insurance payments, some of which may be taxable, Schatz said. Now, what's interesting is he's being paid this because he says, or they say, that he's bipolar and he's depressed. How many Americans out there are depressed? Huh? And bipolar, I could say I'm bipolar. You could say you're bipolar. How do you prove someone not being bipolar? Absolutely, totally, and completely insane. But that sort of shows you what's wrong with the system. You know, in California, we had a sheriff in Orange County, Mike Corona. Mike Corona, like Jesse Jackson Jr., was sent to prison. I think Corona did 8 years. But because he was working for the government as a sheriff, his pension is $225,000 a year. So here he is sitting in prison. He's out now, I believe. But when he was sitting in prison, he was getting $225,000 a year. And it was costing probably $50,000, if not more. I would have imagined they would have had to have kept him segregated since he was a sheriff from the rest of the population. I don't know if that's the case, and I don't care. But it shows you how screwed up the system is. Now, in Chicago, Blagojevich, he's still in prison. And if I'm not mistaken, he lost his pension when he committed a crime. But in Jackson's case, it isn't his pension. He's probably getting that as well. This is disability insurance. Again, how do you prove bipolar? And how do you prove depression? And how many millions of Americans are depressed? He's just one example of how screwed up the whole system truly really is. How the elitists screw the little people. And this guy shouldn't get a dime. He's 51 years old. Let him go bust his ass at McDonald's. That's sort of what I think. And you damn well know why I think what I think. I'll attach the link. There's more for you to read. He pleaded guilty in 2013. He used $750,000 for his own financial benefit. He's no different than his father. Father like son. The acorn doesn't fall too far from the tree. Get it? Good. Thanks for listening. Pass it along.